The August 7th, 2019 meeting of the Windsor Planning Commission will now come to order. Will the secretary please call the roll?
Daniel Foreman,
Present.
Jerry Bushelman,
Present.
Gail Schick,
Here.
Victor Talon,
Here.
Cindy Showerman,
Here.
Doug Dennison.
Here.
First item on tonight's agenda is a review of the agenda itself by the Planning Commission for any changes to the agenda or addition of items.
Mr. Chair, I move we accept the agenda as written.
Second.
It's been moved by Commissioner Talon, second by Commissioner Bushelman, that we approve the agenda as presented. Those in favor will vote yes. Those opposed vote no.
Chair. Bushelman one more time.
Okay. Push it and hold it. There you go. And the motion carries unanimously. Next item is the public invited to be heard. If there is anyone in the audience who has an item that they wish to present to the commission tonight that is not on tonight's agenda, now's the time to do so. And if you do have an item that you wish to present, you can come to the podium, give us your name and address, and you'll have a 3-minute time period to give us the information you have. And there is a red light, green light, yellow light indicator on the podium. When you start your presentation, it will turn to a green light. When you get to 30 seconds left before your 3 minutes is up, it'll turn yellow. And then when your 3 minutes is up, it'll turn red. So for those of you who haven't had the opportunity to be here before, anybody wish to come up on an item that is not on tonight's agenda? Okay, keep moving along. Next item is the consent calendar. This evening's consent calendar consists of the approval of the minutes of the June 5th, 2019 meeting.
Mr. Chair, I move that we approve the minutes of the June 5th, 2019 meeting.
Second.
It's been moved by Commissioner Talon, second by Commissioner Foreman, that we approve the minutes as presented. Those in favor of the motion will vote yes. Those opposed vote no. And the motion carries unanimously. We will move into the board action items now. And David, you had a statement you wanted to make before we get into the public hearing?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. I noticed that you have 2 public hearings that are on the agenda this evening. And for the record, I'd like to disclose that I am a sitting member of the town board, that I am here in my capacity as a non-voting liaison to this planning commission. Although I'm present, I will be present during these public hearings. I will not give my opinion or participate in either discussion. I will not let tonight's proceedings influence or affect my review of these matters if or when they come before the town board. I'll make my decision on these matters at the town board level based solely on the evidence presented during the town board public hearing. Thank you.
Thank you, David. We will now move it to our first agenda item, which is a public hearing. So we'll close our regular meeting, open up the public hearing for a recommendation to the town board for a conditional use grant for oil and gas facilities, Gomer Oil and Gas Pad. Carolyn, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. To let you all know that we did receive some comments after the packets had gone out. We received some comments from the Windsor Severance Fire District, and I have a printout of those here. We also received some comments from a Dr. Wendell Bradley, and I have a packet here as well that's approximately 40 pages. So I won't be reading that, but I can hand these 2 comments out. I think there's other extras. Okay, this application for a conditional use grant is specifically for oil and gas facilities. And a conditional use grant for oil and gas is required in any zone district. The criteria for an oil and gas CUG isn't found in section 16760 of the municipal code. And those criteria for the plans that we review involve the visual requirements, landscape requirements, and floodplain requirements. In addition to that, the town board has adopted some standard conditions of approval, and I'll get into that in a minute. This property is located south of Weld County Road 76 and west of 257, Highway 257, north of Harmony Road, County Road 74, and east of County Road 15. This property is zoned residential mixed use. And again, oil and gas is allowed in the residential mixed use zone district with a CUG. The site is located considerably further away from residential subdivisions as compared with some of the applications you've seen in the past. One of the outcomes from the neighborhood meeting was a different truck route than was originally proposed. Originally, the truck route was proposed to head west on County Road 76, and since the neighborhood input, the route was changed to head east towards State Highway 257. It then follows a primary route down Harmony Road to I-25, and the alternative route would head north on 257 to State Highway 14 and then out to I-25. The access is from County Road 76, and during this process, staff had the applicant, Extraction Oil and Gas, enter into an agreement with the town regarding maintenance of County Road 76, since that is within the town limits. And that agreement states that any damage or repair that is necessary for that roadway will be done by Extraction. So this site is proposed for 18 wells. And on these slides, you can also see the closest homes. I know it's a little bit difficult to read here, but generally at least 900 feet away to the closest home there. The applicant is proposing berming, landscape treatment on the west and south boundaries. They will also be putting in sound walls and using electric on this site to help mitigate with noise impacts. So the overall site, the property boundary is 94 acres, but the pad site itself is 18 acres. 18 wells, associated equipment, and then here just showing the closest occupied structure to the west, 994 feet, to the south, 810 feet. And then further to the west are the Ross subdivision and Alexandra Estates, 1,200 feet and 2,400 feet to the west and northwest. This was the area that was notified for both the neighborhood meeting and this public hearing. In addition to that, prior to the neighborhood meeting, the applicant reached out to 2 members within the subdivisions to the west, and we did have a good number of attendees from those subdivisions. There were 35 people roughly who had general questions and definitely concerned about the proposed truck route to the west. And again, that was changed. So staff's recommendation is for approval based on the criteria in the code, meeting that criteria. And we've also included the town board's recommended conditions of approval for oil and gas facilities. There are 3 specific conditions that pertain to this site. The truck hauling route in Exhibit A that was shown on a prior slide, and then the truck hauling periods of trying to avoid school traffic and peak hours of commuter traffic, and the third being that the berms and native seeding be completed no later than 90 days after production has begun on the pad. Part of this reasoning here is because the wells will be done in a couple different phases, and we wanted to ensure that the landscaping was put in earlier rather than later. So staff's recommending that the Planning Commission forward to the town board the recommendation of approval with the conditions stated. And I'm happy to answer any questions. The applicant is here and has a presentation they'd like to share.
Okay. Why don't we go ahead and get the presentation portion of them?
Thank you, everyone, for having me. Let's see here. My name is Troy Owens, and I'm the development engineer for Windsor Greeley area for extraction. Been there for about 5 years now. And, it's been about a year since I was last up here, so I'm not sure if you guys have seen this presentation or not, but start off with
You don't change it up for us?
a few updates, definitely. But so a little bit about extraction. We've been working directly with Windsor since the company started back in 2013. We've got offices in Denver and Greeley, and we're actually building a new office in Windsor right now that we're going to move to in about December, hopefully. And a little bit about us and our operations. We strive to be the operator of choice in Colorado. We try to stay above and beyond any new regulations that come across, to work hand in hand with communities to reduce any complaints or anything like that. A little bit just about the life cycle of oil and gas for anyone who's not aware of what happens. The pad will start off with the drilling phase. This is when the sound walls will go up once all the construction's done, and that's when the big rig comes in that most people can see. And right now, we're averaging about 2 to 4 wells, or 2 to 4 days per well, which is about 4 times faster than what we started with back in 2013, 2014. And then, so once the rig's gone, we bring in the completions phase that includes the hydraulic fracturing phase. And that typically takes about 3 to 8 days per well, although we're averaging about 3 to 4 days. So once that's done, we build the facilities and start production, which is what will be there for 20 to 30 years while the well is producing. And that's when we reclaim all the land, put in the landscape. And then once the wells are done producing, we go in, plug and abandon them, totally reclaim the site, and it'll be like nothing was ever there. Here's the traffic route for the Gomer pad that you guys have already seen. And here's a quick diagram of what Gomer will look like while we're doing the drilling and completions phase before we've done interim reclamation, we call it, before production. And we'll have sound walls up. We did a sound study for this pad, and we decided that we learned from the study that it would be best to have sound walls up on the north, west, and southeast corners. So the north side, the west side, and the southeast corner of the pad to mitigate as much sound as possible from traveling to homes nearby. Here's a drawing of the DA. It's a little more updated than the one you guys have in your packet. We drew the berm in there this time. That will be it's a 4-foot berm on the west and north side of the pad that should screen the closest houses, which are over 1,000 feet away from any wellhead or equipment. Skip that Otis stuff for now. And just a little bit about our BMPs as a company that we've developed over the last couple of years. In the drilling process, this is where we go in, set 3 layers of steel casing, go in, put in 3 layers of cement, make sure all the water is protected. And like I said, we've increased drilling time by about 4x since we started. It's probably the biggest innovation we've had. We've also pioneered bringing sound walls down in the basement or into the basin to help mitigate sound. We also have new LED lights and light shielding that we try to put around the inside of the sound walls as well as on the rig to try to mitigate any lights from shining outside the site. And this is a little bit about the hydraulic fracturing phase for completions. And we do this process just to establish communication between the producing reservoir and the wellbore that we drilled. And here's an updated picture of kind of a completions fleet that while we're out there during the fracking phase. And you can see it's all completely concealed by the sound wall except for 1 or 2 cranes that will be sticking up. And a couple things we do here is we eliminated water truck traffic, which was the main cause of any traffic we have during the whole process. And we did that by getting local water sources, lay flat pipe, so we don't have to bring any water trucks in. We also helped pioneer with Liberty, the new sandbox system, which we've been using for a year or 2 now, which helps reduce traffic by bringing in more sand at one time. It also helps greatly reduce any dust that is produced on site from, before you'd have a sand truck and you'd have to blow off and do all these connections that created a whole bunch of extra silica dust. And with this process, it's all completely enclosed system. No need to worry about any of that stuff. It also allows the trucks to get in and get out much faster when it could take an hour or 2 for a sand truck to unload before. We also partnered with them on developing the quiet completions fleet, which we just rolled out in the last 18 months, I believe. And this has also greatly reduced any sound it's been great with sound mitigation. And yeah, so our goal with completions is, just get in, get out, and do it safely. A little bit about the production facility that'll be there after we're done with the drilling and completion phase. And this is what'll be there for 20 to 30 years. Here it's a completely enclosed system. We don't have any, no flaring, no venting, nothing like that, no open flames. We also have a new LACT system, which helps mitigate any emissions as well as any spills or anything by allowing trucks to just have one connection point. They no longer have to go onto each tank and measure and open the hatches or anything like that. We're also working to get pipeline here. We're very close, which will help greatly reduce any truck traffic during the production phase. We'll also have electricity from the utility powering the facility, which will help greatly reduce any noise. Since we want to have really loud generators, also greatly reduce any emissions that will be on the facility. We also put shielding on all of our lights, as well as, always have a 24/7 hotline where people can call. And if we do have a light that kind of got misplaced and is shining right, that someone can see, we'll have someone out there right away, just point it down, something like that. And just finally, a little bit about our air quality that we have. We try to capture every little piece of gas we can through 3 or 4 different separator processes. And anything we can't sell directly down the gas pipeline, we incinerate in a 99.8% efficient incinerator. And we also have a pretty robust LDAR program, which is leak detection and repair. It's much more robust than what the CDPHE and state require. For the first 6 months of the production cycle, we'll have someone out there at least once a month, if not more, with an infrared camera that's powerful enough to see, if you have a permanent marker, take the cap off, you can see that gas vapor coming off. So we're out there inspecting for the first 6 months at least once a month. That usually continues for several years, and we might, as it goes after several years, we'll slow down to once a quarter, and then after several more years, we'll slow down to just once or twice a year, go out and check. And so far, in Extraction's whole history, I think we have 1 pad, so that's on the semi-annual. All the rest we're out there at least once a month checking. And that's about all I had for the Gomer pad.
Okay. Thank you, Troy. Does the commission have any questions, comments at the moment?
I was curious if you've seen the memo from the fire department?
I don't think have we? Yes.
Do you have any problems with that, or is that stuff you normally do, or?
Yes, that's stuff we normally
Yeah, could we get you up to the podium? Thank you.
We usually do a tactical response plan, and we have a person in-house
Could I
that
get your name and
coordinates that.
address?
Yeah.
Sorry.
Jeff Annable, 10433 Yosemite Street, Commerce City, Colorado.
Thank you.
Yeah, we have a tactical response plan that we do uniquely for every site, and we coordinate that with.
You have no problem incorporating what they have on it?
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else have any?
Chair, I just had a follow-up for staff. Will the fire department's requirements be codified as COAs on this approval? Is that something we need to take action on? as a
I'm
board?
sorry, what was the last part?
Will the fire department's requirements be a COA that's attached to the conditional use?
They
permit?
are, they're the very last condition of approval
Okay.
in your packet.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions?
Another question about, one thing, just more of a comment, that you have the alternate route going up, you have the primary route going over Harmony. I would think it'd be good to get consideration making the up to Alt Road over, because Harmony's gonna be under construction probably for the next 5 years or more. So it'd be, best to have that traffic probably away from Harmony. Thank you.
Scott?
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure that if you could leave a copy of the presentation, we need that for the record, since it wasn't in the packet, and we'll want to put that in the town board packet before it goes out, so that it's not a surprise. And then also wanted to just make sure, in case this wasn't covered earlier, that the following be entered into the record: the application and supplemental materials, the staff memo and supporting documents, testimony from the public hearing, and the staff recommendation. And then lastly, I just wanted to verify, you mentioned the quiet fleet, and I just wanted to verify that it is being used on both of these pads.
Correct.
Okay, thanks. That's all I had.
Okay. Okay, thanks, gentlemen. Since this is the public hearing portion of the process, is there anyone in the audience who has any comments that they want to give to the commission? If you do, now's the time to do so. If you could come to the podium, give us your name and address, and we'll take your comments.
Move to close public hearing.
Second.
It's been moved by Commissioner Talon, second by Commissioner Bushman, that we close the public hearing. Those in favor of the motion will vote yes. Those opposed, vote no. Motion carries unanimously. We will now reconvene our regular meeting and move to the next agenda item, which is a recommendation to the town board for the conditional use grant, Gomer Oil and Gas Pad. Any additional comments, questions from the commission?
Mr. Chair, I move the planning commission forward to the town board a recommendation of approval of the conditional use grant with the following conditions as stated by staff.
Second.
You second it. And moved by Commissioner Talon, second by Commissioner Dennison, that we forward a recommendation of approval to the town board pertaining to this agenda item and having all the staff comments being captured, specifically the three, the truck hauling route and the truck hauling periods, and the berms with native seating, and the additional town requirements. Those in favor of the motion will vote yes. Those opposed, vote no. And motion carries unanimously. Okay, we will now close our regular meeting, open up another public hearing for a conditional use grant for Otis Oil and Gas Pad. And David, did you want to repeat your comment, or your first comment was good for the duration?
My intent was to have it apply to both public hearings, unless Mr. McCarter objects. I think my wording was appropriate for that.
Okay.
No objection.
Carlin, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and Commissioners. I would just like to note for the record that the comments received, handed out with the GOMAR pad, they also apply to this application. And again, this application was reviewed with Chapter 16 of the Municipal Code regarding conditional use grants for oil and gas facilities. The same criteria apply: visual requirements, landscape requirements, and floodplain requirements. This property is located southeast of the Gomar property, just west of State Highway 257 and north of County Road 74, Harmony Road. This property is zoned general commercial. As you might recall, this once was the area proposed for the sports park. They will have the same truck route for this facility. I have noted your comments, Commissioner Bushelman, and we'll speak to the applicant about the concerns on Harmony Road. Certainly will be under construction for a long period of time, so we do want to look more closely at the alternative route and when that could be used. This site also is not directly adjacent to high-density residential. 18 wells and associated equipment are proposed. You can see here a few of the neighboring properties with single-family estate. The overall property has 79 acres with a 14.7 acre pad. The distance between the property and the closest occupied structure is 582 feet to the west and 728 feet to the southwest. The applicant is also proposing sound walls, berming with landscaping, and electric facilities similar to the other site. This proposal was also an item at the same neighborhood meeting on January 10th. This area had notification in the area here shown in yellowish green, and again, a couple of the key neighborhood contacts were notified prior to that meeting. The conditions with this proposal are identical to the prior one. The planning commission and staff comments are addressed, and the 3 that are specific to the site, the truck hauling route, as shown within this presentation in your packet, the truck hauling periods, and the berming and native seeding completion no later than 90 days after production has begun. And then last, the town board's standard conditions of approval for oil and gas facilities. Staff's recommending the town, or the planning commission forward to the town board a recommendation of approval with the stated conditions. And staff would like to enter into the record the application supplemental materials, staff memorandum, supporting documents, testimony from public hearing, recommendation, and of course the comments that you received at the beginning of the meeting. That concludes my presentation. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer those.
Quick question, does the applicant have a different presentation, or it's basically the same thing you had before? Okay,
Same one.
okay. Jerry?
Chairman, just want to clarify that the fire department memo will be included as a requirement to the permit.
Yes, and that is one of the standard conditions of approval, that their comments are addressed. This time around, we did receive more specific requirements. It was noted that some of their standards for these facilities have changed. So that's the reason for those.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
the comment from the applicant's representative may not have made it into the record. Would you please request that he step forward, identify himself, and confirm that his presentation would essentially be identical to
Okay.
his prior presentation?
Yeah, if you come to
Thank
the
you.
podium, give us your name and address, and just let us know that it's the same as the previous one, that'd be great.
My name's Troy Owens, the development lead for the Windsor Greeley area for extraction oil and gas. And the presentation is the exact same, except for the pad layouts just show the new one.
Thank you. Any other questions from the commission or comments? Okay, since this is the public hearing portion of the process, is there anyone in the audience who has any questions or comments they wish to present at the moment?
Move to close the public hearing.
Second.
Been moved by Commissioner Townsend, seconded by Commissioner Bushelman, that we close the public hearing. Those in favor of the motion will vote yes. Those opposed vote no. The motion carries unanimously. We'll reconvene our regular meeting, move on to the next agenda item, which is a recommendation to the town board for the conditional use grant that we just heard.
Mr. Chair, I move that the planning commission forward to the town board a recommendation of approval of the conditional use grant following staff's conditions as stated by staff.
Second.
It's been moved by Commissioner Townsend, seconded by Commissioner Dennison, that we forward a recommendation of approval to the town board, and based on all planning commission and staff comments being addressed and all the other items that staff has identified in their memorandum. Those in favor of the motion will vote yes. Those opposed vote no. And motion carries unanimously. Moved on to our next items, communication from planning commission. Mr. Foreman, you have any?
No communications.
Jerry?
On tonight, thank you.
Victor?
No communications.
No communications either.
Just sitting there giggling, huh? Doug?
Nothing, thank you.
Town board liaison, do you have any communication? David?
No communications, Mr. Chair, thank you.
Communications from staff. Carlin?
Since our last meeting, unfortunately, senior planner Melissa Berry resigned and took another job closer to her home. So I just wanted to let you know that we're currently looking for a replacement senior planner and we'll keep you updated.
You just see a new face every month, don't we? Anything else, Carly? Okay.
That's all. Thank you.
Okay. Scott?
Just wanted to call the planning commission attention to the 3 site plan reviews under staff communications, just in case there are any questions or comments about any of those. Otherwise, nothing further from me.
I did have a couple questions on those. Unless I'm just having some tech problems, I'm not seeing an actual site plan in there for item 3A. There's the memo in there, but no actual site plan.
No. It does look like that got missed. We will send a separate email out with the 3A site plan and landscape plan.
And then I had a question on the one for item B for the MASH lab expansion. Am I looking at that right, that that's expanding to the east, like between the existing building and Highland Meadows Parkway is where that additional building would be built?
It's to the north of the existing building on the vacant lot.
Okay. Because I think that the roads are mislabeled in that diagram that was in the packet.
So, yeah, it does look like that's the building or the orientation of the drawing. Just looking at that. No. The new building is just to the north of the existing building, and Highland Meadows Parkway is to the east or the right-hand side of the drawing, and Green Ridge Road is to the north.
Okay, because the roads line up with what's indicated as north, but the drawing shows the proposed building as being between the existing building and Highland Meadows Parkway.
Existing buildings down to
Or is that,
the street.
oh, okay, that's the other existing
Yeah,
building.
that's down here.
Okay, I'm sorry.
I had the same problem, but now I see it.
I got you now. Okay,
There are existing buildings on both the west and south sides.
gotcha. Okay, that makes sense. I was thinking that was the existing MASH lab building. Okay, thank you for that clarification.
Okay, but we will get the information on the first one out via email.
Anything else, Scott?
No, thank you.
Okay. Ian, thank you for coming and generating some of the wisdom that you share with us. So. Thank you. It's always appreciated.
I would also like to thank the police for being here just in case.
Yes, thank you for protecting and serving. Okay,
Move to adjourn.
we are adjourned.
Thought you were gonna ask her if she had anything.